Alright, welcome back. This is a review of Fruits Basket 2019, episode 6. So I'm a little bit late on uploading this. I watched the episode when it came out, and then I made my little thumbnail. And then right afterwards, the power went out for like 6 hours, and then so I couldn't do anything. And then it was Mother's Day weekend, and I've just been busy. But now I am here, and I'm ready to go. Anyway, so this episode, it contains it contains chapter 9 and chapter 7, and in that exact order. So they kind of rearranged it a bit, and I'm fine with this, and I'm fine with it. But basically, the episode is, first we go into the cultural festival, and, we have the whole scene with, Yuki has to dress up as a girl, because the senior girls asked him to, and then he doesn't really like that, and then Tohru kind of talks to him about it, and talking about, kind of encouraging him about it, saying it's fine, you look cute in it. And then Momiji and Hatori show up. Momiji is introduced. He's finally his proper self. He's half German, half Japanese, and he's over there speaking German. And then, of course, we also find out that Yuki has bronchial tube issues, however you say that. And so that's why Hatori was there to check up on him. Well, one of the many reasons why Hatori was there. And then you find out Momiji is actually the year of the rabbit when he kind of gets overexcited and he hugs Tohru. And then they go up to the roof, and Hatori takes a picture of them and they leave wherever. And this is where it kind of changes compared to what the original anime did in the manga. Because in this case, Uo and Hana come up and confront Tohru about hanging out with Yuki and Kyo so much. And she tells them what's been going on. And then they pretty much come over that night, and they spend the night. And then for the first time, for you guys who have the first time viewers first time viewers overall, and then of course those who only ever watched the original anime, you get a scene that you didn't get before, which was you get the hat scene with and it's kind of alluded to as to who is the owner of the hat. It could be Yuki, it could be Kyo. You don't know. You have to find out. You have to keep watching to find out. But Uo and Hana determined that yes, that her living with the Sohma family is fine. It's good. And then the episode ends with Hatori calling up on the phone, on Shigure's house phone. Tohru answers it, and he says, you gotta come to the main house. I want to talk to you. If you don't, you'll know what will happen. And that's really about it for the episode itself. Now, of course, if you've seen the original series, or for that matter, even kind of read the manga, you'll know that in the original series, these two portions were reversed, and then it was actually Uo and Hana came over first, and that was its own episode. And then in the next chapter / next episode, it was the school festival. But because they already did half of the school festival, the preparing part of it early on in episode 3, they just did the second half. And I don't really mind them rearranging it this way, because it still feels natural for it to happen this way. I know that someone was saying that, because in the manga and in the original anime, Tohru comes out and just straight up tells her friends after she's officially been moved into the Sohmas that she's living with them. But in this case, it was Uo and Hana noticed that she's been hanging out with Yuki and Kyo a lot. So they come up and confront her about it and ask her about it, and she tells them what was going on. And I know someone was saying that, that it kind of feels out of character for Tohru, because she wouldn't be the type to, just, do that to her friends or whatever, because she came out even in the original manga and just told them. But I feel like in this case she probably was planning on telling them, but she didn't have the opportunity to properly tell them at the time, and they just kind of came up and confronted her about it, which I feel is in place and is accurate for Uo and Hana, because they're very observant of Tohru, and such, and so I feel like they would be able to notice these sorts of things. Which is actually something that I'm really glad they did, kind of comparing the two different versions, because yes, the second half of of this episode was just the Uo and Hana coming over to visit, um, and it was, you get to see a little bit of goofiness with them and Shigure and his novelist, his stories, and then you got to see the hat, and then it was very simple. It had its good comedy moments, but it wasn't over the top or crazy. And one of the things that one of the problems I always had with the episode that corresponded to the second half of this episode and from the original, with Uo and Hano coming over, was that not only did they take out the hat portion of the story, but then on top of that, they added in a whole bunch of filler. Now, at first, like the first couple of times I'd watched it, I didn't really care. I kind of was like, oh, it's kind of funny. But over time, the more and more I watched the series and read the manga, the more and more I kind of got annoyed with that entire comedy bit in the original. Because if you don't know, in the original series, they literally had the episode was dedicated just to Uo and Hana coming over, and a good half of the episode was just dedicated to goofy, random animal transformations. And again, I feel like maybe one or two of them wouldn't have been bad, but it was just really over the top because of just constantly Kyo, Yuki, and Shigure would bump into Uo, Hana, or Tohru, and they'd transform, and Uo and Hana would be like completely oblivious. And I feel like it really kind of made their characters look incompetent. It not only made Uo and Hana look like they were kind of dumb, for not noticing what was going on with the whole animal transformation, because they were literally bumping into them. But it also kind of made Yuki, Kyo, and Shigure look kind of incompetent, as I said before, because it was like they're supposed to be more careful than this. So it kind of looks, it didn't, for me, as the more and more I read this series, it always felt like it just didn't fit well, and it just didn't make sense to me. So I'm really glad that was not that they definitely did not have that portion of it in the original, in the new adaptation. I'm really happy about that. I think really the only thing that, because pretty much they both play out the same in terms of it's been rearranged in its order in terms of the two chapters. I think the only difference is that in the manga, and this is how it also was in the original anime, after the school festival, when Yuki warns Tohru, hey, don't be alone with Hatori, because he's the one who can suppress memories. And then the comedic thing that was like literally right after that, Tohru gets called to the front office, and it's like, oh, like, Hatori just shows right up there, and he's like, hey, you gotta come. And so it was kind of one of those kind of ironic, funny things. But it still works out, I feel, this way with it being, and of course that didn't happen in this one because Uo and Hana confronted her and whatnot. But I feel it still works out with Hatori calling up the Shigure's house and being like, hey, I need you to come over here, Tohru. And of course we also get a little bit of a hint of more of a Shigure's character, and yes, it's going to be interesting. Now, I watched this. Other than that, I think that's really about it. But I watched the series in both sub and dub. I'm not gonna go into too much of this because it's something I want to talk about much later. In like maybe the other 6 or 7 episodes. But I know in the dub version they actually did give Momiji a German accent, which I was kind of a little bit iffy on at first. But I mean, we've only heard him for maybe like 5 minutes, something like that, maybe less than that. So we haven't really got to hear a lot of him so far, but I was kind of iffy with it, but I know some people don't like it. I think it's just I'll probably be fine with it. It's just going to take a little bit of getting used to. But I know that, because I know that some people were kind of upset about it, but at the same time, I know that something that is brought up in one of the side panels in one of the Tokyo Pop volumes is that Natsuki says that unlike all the rest of the zodiac animals, Momiji is the only one who actually had some of his actually had who grew up over he had a lot of his education, early school years he spent overseas. So that it and most likely that would probably be Germany. So I could very well see, it would make sense if he had a German accent. Again, I'm not worried about it. I think it'll be fine. Um, but that's really about it. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.